There are places on Earth right now that you will never be allowed to visit. Not because you cannot afford the trip, not because they are too far away, but because what is inside them is either too dangerous, too valuable, or too secret for any ordinary person to see. Some of these places guard the future of humanity. Others hold answers to questions we have been asking for centuries. And a few of them, governments will not even confirm they exist. This is our countdown of the 10 most forbidden places you are not allowed to visit. Stay until the end, because number 1 holds a secret that has been locked away for over 12 centuries. Number 10. Pravchicka Brana, Czech Republic. In the northwestern corner of the Czech Republic, there is a region called Bohemian Switzerland that contains some of the most dramatic rock formations in all of Europe. The crown jewel of this landscape is the Pravchicka Brana, a natural sandstone arch, standing 52 feet tall with a total span of 87 feet, making it the largest natural stone arch on the continent. For decades, this was one of the most popular tourist attractions in the region. People traveled from all over the world to walk across the top of the arch and take in the breathtaking views of the surrounding forests and valleys. But every footstep was slowly destroying it. The sandstone that gives the arch its beauty is also what makes it fragile. Engineers began to notice that the rate of erosion was accelerating dangerously, and there were growing fears that the arch could collapse entirely, killing anyone standing on or near it. In 1982, authorities made the decision to permanently ban anyone from walking on the arch. Visitors can still admire it from viewing platforms below, but no one is allowed to touch it. Since the ban was put in place, the erosion has slowed noticeably. But even without human interference, the Pravchicka Brana is still gradually wearing away. It will almost certainly collapse one day. The ban has not saved it forever. It has only bought it more time. Number 9. Svalbard Global Seed Vault, Norway Deep, inside a mountain on the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen, roughly 810 miles from the North Pole. There is a tunnel that extends 430 feet into permanently frozen ground. At the end of that tunnel, behind multiple blast-proof doors, sits what many scientists call humanity's most important insurance policy, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. The vault was designed with a single terrifying scenario in mind. What happens if the world's agriculture collapses? War, climate change, pandemic, asteroid impact. Whatever the cause, if the crops that feed 8 billion people suddenly stop growing, the seeds stored inside this vault would be our last chance to start over. As of today, it holds more than 1.3 million seed samples from almost every country on Earth, including ancient varieties that farmers no longer cultivate, and wild plants that may carry genetic traits capable of resisting future diseases or droughts. The public cannot visit. Only authorized personnel are allowed beyond the entrance portal. And even the countries that deposit seeds can only retrieve them under extraordinary circumstances. The first withdrawal happened in 2015, when seeds were taken out to replace a collection destroyed by the war in Syria. They were returned in 2017 when new storage was built. But the vault has already faced an unexpected threat. In 2017, rising temperatures caused permafrost around the entrance tunnel to melt, and water began seeping in. No seeds were damaged, but the incident prompted a $20 million upgrade to protect against future warming. The irony is hard to miss. The vault built to protect us from catastrophe is already being tested by one. Number 8. Grand Shrine of Ise, Japan. Across Japan, there are roughly 80,000 Shinto shrines where anyone is welcome to pray and reflect. But there is one that only a handful of people on the planet are permitted to enter. The Grand Shrine of Ise, located in Mie Prefecture, was built to honor Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, and it is considered the most sacred site in all of Shinto. What makes this shrine extraordinary is not just its spiritual importance, but how it is maintained. Every 20 years, the entire shrine is demolished and rebuilt from scratch using traditional Japanese woodcraft techniques. Not a single nail is used in its construction. This cycle of death and rebirth has been repeated for more than 2,000 years, and the most recent rebuilding was completed in 2013. Today, the only people allowed to step inside the inner sanctum are Shinto priests and members of the Japanese imperial family. Everyone else is kept behind wooden fences that surround the shrine. You can walk the grounds, which include a beautiful forest and ornamental pathways built about 150 years ago. But the shrine itself remains invisible to ordinary eyes, hidden behind barriers that have stood for centuries, protecting something considered too sacred for the outside world to see. Number 7. Pluto's Gate. Turkey ancient civilizations had rituals and beliefs that can seem bizarre to modern eyes. But sometimes those ancient superstitions turn out to have a very real, very dangerous basis in science. That is exactly the case with a place known as Pluto's Gate. Located in the ruins of the ancient city of Hierapolis in modern-day Turkey, this was a site sacred to the Greeks and Romans, dedicated to Pluto, the god of the underworld. At its center is a small cave, barely large enough for one person to fit inside. Ancient writers described it as a portal to the realm of the dead, a place so lethal that animals brought near its entrance would collapse and die within minutes. Priests claimed that only the most devout could enter and return alive. Vendors even sold animals to visitors so they could place them near the cave and watch them perish. For centuries, these accounts were dismissed as mythology. Then scientists discovered the truth. The cave sits above a geological fault line that releases massive quantities of carbon dioxide gas through cracks in the rock. Because carbon dioxide is denser than air, it pools at ground level, creating an invisible lake of death. Any animal or person that breathes at that level will quickly lose consciousness and suffocate. The gas concentrations are highest at night and early morning, which is precisely when the ancient rituals took place. Today, the area around Pluto's Gate is fenced off, and visitors are prohibited from approaching. The ancient legend was real. It was just never supernatural. Number 6. Movel Cave, Romania. If you are finding this fascinating, you are going to want to see what comes next. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you do not miss our upcoming videos. Now let us continue with a place that might be the strangest on this entire list. In 1986, workers testing ground for a power plant near the city of Mangalia in southeastern Romania accidentally broke through into something that had been sealed from the rest of the world for approximately 5.5 million years. What they found inside would challenge everything scientists thought they knew about how life can survive. Movel Cave is not like any cave you have ever heard of. The air inside contains dangerously high levels of hydrogen sulfide and methane, and only about half the oxygen found in normal air. Breathing without specialized equipment would be extremely hazardous. To reach the cave's chambers, you must descend through a narrow shaft that drops roughly 65 feet straight down before opening into a network of small rooms and underground lakes. Fewer than 100 people have ever been allowed inside, and each one required special permission from Romania's Cave Research Authority, and had to wear equipment designed to prevent contamination of the ecosystem. Because what makes Movel Cave truly extraordinary is not the danger, it is the life. Cut off from sunlight for millions of years, the cave developed a completely self-sustaining ecosystem based on chemosynthesis. Microorganisms at the base of the food chain feed not on sunlight, but on chemical reactions involving hydrogen sulfide and methane. These microbes support 48 species of animals found nowhere else on Earth, including blind water scorpions, translucent leeches, and insects with abnormally long antennae that evolved to navigate in total darkness. Movel Cave is one of the closest things we have on Earth to what life might look like on other worlds, perhaps beneath the ice of Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's moon Enceladus. And that is precisely why it must remain sealed. One careless visitor could introduce outside bacteria and destroy an ecosystem that took millions of years to evolve. Number 5. Snake Island, Brazil. Of all the islands in the world where humans are forbidden to go, there is one where the reason is not political, cultural, or environmental. It is pure, primal survival. The Ilha da Queimada Grande, located about 21 miles off the coast of São Paulo, Brazil, is more commonly known by a name that tells you everything you need to know: Snake Island. The Brazilian Navy patrols the waters around this 110-acre island and strictly prohibits anyone from landing. The reason is the golden lancehead viper, one of the most venomous snakes in the world, and this island has thousands of them. Scientists estimate the density at roughly 1 snake for every 11 square feet of forest. Walk into the trees, and you are guaranteed to see them in every direction, coiled on branches, hidden in leaf litter, draped over rocks. These snakes exist nowhere else on the planet. About 11,000 years ago, rising sea levels cut the island off from the Brazilian mainland, trapping a small population of snakes with no ground-based prey. Forced to survive on migrating birds, the snake's evolved venom so powerful that it kills a bird almost instantly upon being bitten, preventing the prey from flying away. No one knows exactly how potent that venom would be against a human, because almost no one has ever been bitten by a golden lancehead. But based on its effects on other animals, researchers believe it would likely be fatal before any treatment could be administered. The few scientific expeditions allowed to visit must carry special permits and travel with medical professionals equipped with anti-venom. Even for them, the island remains one of the most dangerous places on Earth. Number 4. Niihau Island, Hawaii, United States. The Hawaiian archipelago is one of the most visited destinations on the planet. Millions of tourists flock to its islands every year to enjoy the beaches, the culture, and the tropical climate. But there is one Hawaiian island where you will not find a single resort, hotel, or tourist. And unless you receive a personal invitation from its owners, you will never set foot on it. Niihau is the westernmost inhabited island in the Hawaiian chain, covering 69 square miles and sitting 17.5 miles southwest of Kauai. In 1864, a Scottish woman named Elizabeth Sinclair purchased the entire island from the Kingdom of Hawaii for $110,000, roughly the equivalent of $3.5 million today. Sinclair's descendants, a family called the Robinsons, still own and control the island to this day. Only family members, their relatives, U.S. Navy personnel, government officials, and the occasional invited guest are allowed on Niihau. The roughly 170 residents who live there have built a community that is almost entirely self-sufficient. No one pays rent. Meat is provided for free to all residents. All electricity comes from solar power. There are no paved roads and no vehicles. People get around on horseback. The closest any outsider can get is a half-day helicopter tour that shows the island from a distance. The Robinsons have maintained this isolation for more than 160 years, and there is no sign that anything will change. In a world where virtually every corner of the globe has been commercialized, Niihau remains a place where time seems to have stopped. Number 3. Mount Yamantau, Russia. In the southern Ural Mountains of Russia, approximately 930 miles east of Moscow, there is a peak called Mount Yamantau that has been the subject of intense speculation for decades. At 5,381 feet, it is the tallest mountain in the southern Urals, and satellite imagery shows a network of roads, buildings, and structures surrounding it that have no apparent civilian purpose. Construction inside the mountain began during the 1980s at the height of the Cold War and continued even after the Soviet Union collapsed. The surrounding area is completely off limits to the public, ringed with security checkpoints and military patrols. When foreign journalists and diplomats have pressed Russian officials for an explanation, the answers have been contradictory and vague. At various times, Russian authorities have claimed the facility is for mining, food storage, a nuclear bunker, or emergency supplies. Western intelligence analysts believe the truth is far more significant. The prevailing theory is that Mount Yamantau houses a massive underground command center designed to remain operational during a nuclear conflict. Some analysts link it to Russia's continuity of government plans, essentially a facility that could run the country if Moscow were destroyed. Whatever is inside Mount Yamantau, the Russian government has no intention of telling anyone. And if you get too close without authorization, you will be met with armed military personnel and a very clear suggestion to turn around. Number 2. Lake Vostok, Antarctica. Buried beneath more than 2 miles of ice in East Antarctica, roughly 800 miles from the South Pole, lies one of the most extraordinary bodies of water on the planet. Lake Vostok has been completely sealed off from the outside world for at least 15 million years. Scientists first detected the lake using radar in the 1970s, but reaching it without contamination proved to be one of the greatest technical challenges in the history of exploration. The Russian Vostok Research Station sits directly above the lake, in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Surface temperatures at this location have reached the coldest ever recorded, minus 128 degrees Fahrenheit. For months at a time, there is no sunlight at all. After decades of painstaking drilling, Russian researchers finally pierced through to the lake's surface water in 2012. Only a handful of samples have ever been collected, and even those results are debated because of concerns about possible contamination during the drilling process. What makes Lake Vostok so important is not just what might be in its waters, but what it could tell us about life beyond Earth. Scientists believe the lake may contain unique organisms that evolved in complete isolation for millions of years, under conditions remarkably similar to those thought to exist beneath the ice of Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus. If life can survive in Lake Vostok, it could survive almost anywhere in the solar system. While not legally forbidden, access to the lake is effectively restricted to a tiny number of researchers operating under some of the strictest scientific protocols ever devised. For the rest of us, what lies beneath that ice will remain a mystery. Number 1. Vatican Apostolic Archive, Vatican City. And now we arrive at the most restricted collection of documents in the world. Located within the walls of Vatican City, the Vatican Apostolic Archive is a repository of secrets that stretches back more than 12 centuries. The numbers alone are staggering. The archive contains approximately 53 miles of shelving, holding documents that span the entire history of the Catholic Church and much of the history of Western civilization. Letters exchanged with kings and emperors, records of papal elections, treaties that redrew the borders of nations, and buried somewhere in those miles of shelves are documents that the public has never been allowed to see. Access has been partially available to scholars since 1881, but the restrictions are severe. Researchers must hold credentials from a recognized university or research institution. They must request specific documents in advance. They cannot browse freely. They are monitored in reading rooms and are never allowed to enter the actual storage areas. Following Pope Francis's decision in 2020, documents up to the year 1958 are now accessible, but everything after that date remains sealed. Among the known treasures are the papal bull of 1521 that excommunicated Martin Luther, personal letters written by Michelangelo, and the complete records of Galileo Galilei's trial by the Inquisition. But it is the unknown documents that fuel the greatest speculation. What else lies within those 53 miles of shelves? What letters, confessions, and records have been kept from public view for centuries? The Vatican has never said, and perhaps never will. Those are the 10 most forbidden places you are not allowed to visit. From a sandstone arch slowly crumbling in the Czech Republic to a cave sealed for 5 million years in Romania to the most secretive archive on Earth. The world is full of places that do not want to be found. Which one shocked you the most? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you made it this far, you clearly have great taste. So hit subscribe and join us for the next one. We will see you soon.